Hi, Taylor T. Carlson, and I'm back with another video for you. You know by now that, of course, I'm a diehard rock and roll fan. I do a lot of reviews, lists, things like that, and that's really nothing new. I've been a fan of rock and roll my whole life, and you may not have known this, but a few years ago I actually put out some books, which were rock and roll encyclopedias for some old classic hard rock and heavy metal bands. I don't carry these anymore myself, but they are still available on lulu.com, which is the site that I self-published through, as well as on amazon.com, and I will be including pertinent links here. I just wanted to show off these books and maybe see if any of you guys might be interested in going over and ordering them. I did 3 books. The first 2 are focused more on like 80s hair metal bands, whereas the latter one is more just straight up classic hard rock and heavy metal. The photographer whose photos I paid to use on these was David Plastic. He was one of the absolute best photographers of his era of rock and roll, and I'll also be including a link above to his site so that you can go over there and check out his photos because he sells prints of those as well. Anyway, this is the first book I put out. This is called Cyclopedia Volume 1, The Legends. This is like mainly like hair and glam bands from the era. And then there's the spine, and there's the back cover. The guy on the back cover is Brian J., the guitar player from Keel. And on the front there's some more photos as well. That's George Lynch from Dokken right there. And then Quiet Riot up there. I'll crack this open real quick and show off a few of the photos. These copies actually belong to my friend April. She had to move out of town about 1.5 years ago, and she left these behind. These are the only copies I actually myself still own, but here's a picture of Brent Muscat, formerly of Faster Pussycat. He lives here in Vegas. He's played with a lot of bands around town over the years. And I'll just flip through here and show off a few sample pages. Just like here's a section for Def Leppard. The photo there's of the late great Steve Clark, fantastic guitarist we lost way too young. And then who else we got in here? Yeah, of course we got Lita Ford, one of the all-time great female rockers. I've met her several times. Very nice lady and one hell of a rocker on the stage. She's still going strong. And of course you gotta have Poison, and there's CC DeVille, their guitar player. It's interesting to note that back before Guns N' Roses was a thing, one of the guys that auditioned for Poison was Slash. Of course, CC got the gig, and they all ended up in the right places in the long run, so everything worked out for the best. Second book I did is called Cyclopedia Volume 2, The Vault. This is basically a continuation. It's got some of the more obscure groups in there. On the cover there, we got that's Alan Krieger from London and Jufria, Rough Cut. Paul Shortino from Rough Cut was also in Quiet Riot. He lives here in Vegas. Great guy. There's Jamie St. James from Black and Blue. Guys from King Cobra. Their singer actually got a sex change, and he's now female. Still a great singer, though. On the back cover, that's Robin McCauley, probably best known for the McCauley Schenker group alongside Michael Schenker. You get a look there, see some of the stuff that's available. This book I had some additional photographers contribute, including Troy Wells and Joanna Jackson, both of whom very good at what they do. This book's a little smaller, but it's still got plenty of information. I'll show a few sections. Here's Arcade. That was a short-lived supergroup. The drummer was Fred Corey from Cinderella. And Cats in Boots. I think I showed off one of my Rock Candy Records CDs of these guys in another video. Half the guys were American, half the guys were Japanese, and I believe they only put out one studio album initially, but it's a good one. And then who else we got in here that's worth checking out? Every band in here is definitely worth checking out. I'm just showing off a few of the sections here. Yeah, King Cobra, who I just mentioned on the front cover, that's Johnny Rod on bass, who later ended up with Wasp. And then each book, I've also got like a list of the classic lineup members, other lineup members, trivia on the bands, interesting facts. There's an album discography, my personal recommendations, history of the band. It's no substitute for reading a band's authorized biography, but it's definitely a good introduction to a lot of these bands. And one more I'll show off before I close this up. Let's see what we got here. Yeah, here's Adrian Vandenberg, the group Vandenberg. He'd later go on to play with Whitesnake. He's the guy you hear on the guitar solo in the song Here I Go Again. Then the last one, this is just more the straight up hard rock and heavy metal. This is called Steel Cyclopedia, the Titans of Hard Rock. And there's the rest of the cover. But on the cover here, well, we got AC/DC, Saxon, the late great Eric Carr from Kiss during their no makeup years. And let's crack this one open and see what we got in here. Here's me with Vinny Appice, who's drummed for Black Sabbath and Dio. He gets around and plays in a ton of bands. I probably have more autographed memorabilia from him than I do any other musician. And then Jimmy Crespo, he was the guitar player from Aerosmith from 1979 to 1984 when Joe Perry wasn't in the group. He actually lives out here in Vegas. He doesn't play anymore, but I had met him a few times over the years back in the day. And then there's a section for Alcatraz. That's Graham Bonnet on vocals, formerly of the Michael Schenker Group and Rainbow. This guy is still going strong. I think he's like, 71 years old now. Still performs, still sounds great. And Blue Oyster Cult, another personal favorite. You only hear like 3 or 4 songs of theirs on regular FM radio these days, but they've got so many great albums, and they're well worth checking out, especially their deep tracks. And maybe check out one more section before I close this up. Here's a section for Pantera. Leah Burlington actually took this photo. Another great photographer. She lived out here in Vegas for years, but is out in California now, and her photos were always a highlight. And I didn't show this off before. That's the back cover. The guy on the back cover is Jeff Young, formerly of Megadeth. He actually lives out here in Vegas as well. Very nice guy. Doesn't really want anything to do with the whole Megadeth thing anymore, and I can't totally blame him, but great guitarist, and definitely honored to put him on the back cover. Have you had a chance to pick up any of my books yet? If so, what do you think? Comment down below and let me know what you think. Also remember to like this video if you found it helpful or interesting, and remember to subscribe to my channel for additional content. I'm Taylor T. Carlson, and I will see you in my next video.